When the roll's called up yonder, I'm going to be there. Are you? Hymn number 516. Stand together. We'll sing the first and last stanzas. When the trumpet of the Lord shall sound, and time shall be no more, and the morning breaks eternal, bright and fair. When the saints of earth shall gather over on the other shore, and the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there. Let us labor for the Master from the dawn till setting sun. Let us talk of all his wondrous love and care. Then when all of life is over and our work on earth is done, then the roll is called up yonder, I'll be there. When the roll is called up yonder, 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 I'll be there. Brother Mickey, would you lead us in prayer, please?
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for this day. You're always great for those that speak the truth. We pray for those that pray for those. We pray for those that are lost. You're always, we thank you and we praise you for your love and for your goodness. Lord, we pray for the service tonight. Pray, Lord, that we hear your word and we apply it to our lives. Pray, Lord, for forgiveness.
Whoever meaneth me, number 421, first and last stanzas. You may be seated when we sing. I am happy today and the sun shines bright. The clouds have been rolled away. For the Savior said, whosoever will may come with me to stay. Whosoever surely meaneth me, surely meaneth me, oh surely meaneth me. Whosoever surely meaneth me, whosoever meaneth me. Oh, what wonderful love, oh, what grace divine, that Jesus should die for me. I was lost in sin, for the world I pined, but now I am set free. Whosoever surely meaneth me, surely meaneth me, oh, surely meaneth me. Whosoever surely meaneth me, whosoever meaneth me.
Thank you so much, Ned. As every Wednesday night, you do a tremendous job, and glad that Nancy's just still continuously progressing and getting better little by little. Let me give a quick update. I know on everybody's mind is Joey Gillespie. Had a pretty serious heart attack on Sunday morning. Getting ready for church, about to leave for church, had a good-sized heart attack at the house, was taken by ambulance to Shelby Hospital. He is still at Shelby, okay? They stented one of the 4 blockages Sunday afternoon. The other 3 blockages, they could not stent, and he needs open heart surgery. Most of y'all are aware of that. They're trying to transport him, get him to UAB to do the triple bypass surgery that he needs, and there is not a bed available. And so yes, Holly knows it is. Y'all are packed. So anyway, he's still waiting to get transferred to UAB, and once he gets transferred, then they can hopefully get him on in for the triple bypass that he needs. But keep on praying for Joey. He's just waiting. He's just laid out at Shelby, just waiting until he can get transferred and get the surgery he needs. So pray for that tonight. I want to go ahead and give another announcement. This was given to me by Diane, and that is, I'm going to read it word for word. Whoever borrowed the easel from the fellowship hall, please return it. The blankety-blank easel does not belong to the blankety-blank church, and it needs to be returned to the owner. So that would be somebody online stole it, please return it. All right, Psalm chapter 90. Psalm chapter 90 is where I want to turn your attention to, and Psalm chapter 90. I want to talk about the importance of time tonight. I want to talk about the importance of time. And again, I'm returning now to thinking about aspects of our life as Christians that are important for us to give attention to. And I won't rehash all the others, but we think in terms, well, I'm going to be a good Christian. That means I'm going to have to read my Bible and pray and come to church and share my faith and serve people. All that stuff is right. We've talked about all that stuff over the course of the last year. We've talked about all those things that we refer to as disciplines or habits of the Christian life. But have you ever thought about the importance of time? If you're going to be a good Christian, it's also going to involve the good use of your time, and I hate to go ahead and whisper it, but also of your money. Time and money. But tonight we're going to look at time. Listen to Psalm chapter 90, and what a beautiful chapter this is. And I'm gonna just say a few comments that have come to my mind and heart as I read this. Psalm chapter 90, beginning in verse number 1, it says this. It says, Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations. Other translations say refuge. It says, Lord, you have been our refuge. And you know what? My dwelling place is my refuge. I'm glad tonight on a 29-degree night, I've got a refuge. I've got a dwelling place to go home to. And so this is simply saying that God is our shelter, God is our safety, God is our covering, God is our warmth, God is our refuge, God is our dwelling place. He's all those things. Lord, you have been our covering, our warmth, our protection, our dwelling place in all generations. Verse 2, before the mountains were brought forth, or ever you had formed the earth and the world. Catch this, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. I did misspeak last Wednesday night, and Ned called me on it when I got finished. I was speaking about God, and I spoke of how he was there. I said he was there in the beginning, and he will still be there in the end. So he is from the beginning, he is to the end. And Ned said, now I know you know this, but he was actually before the beginning, and he is still after. Yes, you're exactly right. He is from everlasting to everlasting. From everlasting to everlasting, you are God. Verse 3 says, you return man to dust and say, return, O children of man. Now, verse 4. Now we're talking about how limited time is. It says, for 1,000 years in your sight are but as yesterday when it is past, or as a watch in the night. You sweep them away as with a flood. They are like a dream. Listen, in one good night, I can have 4 complete dreams. I'm at that age now where I wake up 4 or 5 times a night. And so I'll go to sleep and I'll have a dream. I'll wake up. I'll go back to sleep. And this is the Bible saying that your entire life is about as brief or as quick as a dream that you might have tonight. As fast as a dream, your lifespan is gone. It says in verse 5, like grass that is renewed in the morning. In the morning, the grass flourishes and is renewed, but by evening, it has faded and withered away. Look down in verse number 10. The years of our life are 70, or even by reason of strength, 80. Yet their span is but toil and trouble, and they are soon gone. 80-year lifespan, he says, is full of toil and trouble, and the 80 years are soon gone and over with, and we fly away. So that's not what verse number 12 says. So teach us to number our days, or to make the most, make good use of the time that God has given to us. Teach us to number our days that we may gain a heart of wisdom. So I want to think about time. Using Psalm 90 as a backdrop, I want us to think about the importance of making good use of numbering our days and making good use of our time tonight. Let me ask you, what causes you most of the stress in your life? What causes you to feel overloaded? Because like for me personally, I'll be honest, I require margin in my life. And if I feel like the margin has been encroached upon too much, I'm overloaded and stressed out. So think about this, okay? Think about what causes a lot of stress and a lot of overwhelming anxiety in your life. Bills, unexpected expenses, running late, too much to do and too little time to do it. Am I right or am I right? That's what I just mentioned is where much of the anxiety that we face comes from. And all those things, bills, unexpected expenses, running late, too much to do, not enough time to do it in, all of that has to do with our time and our money. And so we've got to learn how to get a grasp of our time and our money. Jesus Christ says this. He's about 33 years of age, and he says this in John chapter 17 and verse number 4. On the eve of his crucifixion, he prays and he says, Father, I have glorified you on the earth because I have accomplished the work that you gave me to. Isn't that something? That Jesus could say, in a short 33-year lifespan, I have accomplished or I have finished the work that you gave me to do. And so God has us here, and he has a work for each of us to do, and he wants us to finish and accomplish the work that he has for us to do in the time that he has given us to accomplish it. Now, I'm not trying to stress anybody out tonight. I'm not saying that you ought to start getting busy serving Jesus at breakneck speeds. Not at all. But I'm talking about balance in your life. Now, a lot of the main points, not what I say underneath them, but a lot of the main points I'm going to give you tonight came from a sermon that Jonathan Edwards preached in the 1700s. Okay? Now, when I was a middle school preacher, somebody said, you need a set of Warren Wiersbe commentaries, and you need a copy of Jonathan Edwards' sermon, Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. And so I did. My parents bought me a set of commentaries and bought me the pamphlet of Jonathan Edwards' classic sermon. Then I found out that Jonathan Edwards had a whole bunch of other good sermons too. One of them was called this, The Preciousness of Time and the Importance of Redeeming It. So I'm going to give you a few things tonight. These are just the main points, not what comes underneath it, but a lot of the main points I'm saying tonight about using your time wisely, because it's important as Christians that we do so. A lot of that's going to come from that sermon that Edwards preached 350 years ago, the preciousness of time and the importance of redeeming it. Here's the first thing I want to say tonight about time and why we ought to make good use of our time. Number one, because the days are evil. Now that's right out of the Bible. What Ephesians chapter 5 and verse 16, here's what Ephesians 5 verse 16 says. It says, and I'm quoting it says, make good use of your time, knowing that the days are evil. So the reason the Bible says make good use of time is because the days are evil. Now, when the Bible says the days are evil, here's what I have studied and prayed over that phrase this week. Here's what I get that phrase actually means when it says the days that we're living in are evil. It simply means that the world that we live in is not structured in such a way to help us live productive and purposeful Christian lives. Okay, like society does not promote a way of life that would help us be more purposeful in living for Jesus. What am I talking about here? Well, I'll just give you some practical illustrations. Our society is not conducive to us living productive and purposeful Christian lives to some detail because of this right here. Now, I'm not preaching against it. This is not morally good nor morally bad. It is simply morally neutral. And what I'm about to say, I'm not saying the things I'm about to mention are inherently evil or wrong. They are certainly not. But everything has its place. How many of you are going to go home tonight and the way you check out is you're and there's something, I'm not saying it's inherently wrong, okay? But you get me on this. You're just scrolling social media, or you're binging on Netflix shows, or you're watching TikTok videos or Instagram reels, and I mean just one after another. And all of a sudden you're stuck, and before you know it, it's 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, I ran across this guy. It's a woman, actually. Let me tell you how stupid this is. There's just a little video came across my feed, and the woman says, watch me fix supper for my blue-collar man after his 12-hour shift. Okay? And I said, well, what's he gonna eat? And there's a frying pan, and she pours it full of cooking oil. And then she unwraps a McDonald's cheeseburger, and she puts the cheeseburger in the cooking oil. And then she pours the fries in the cooking oil. And then she cracks an egg and drops an egg in the skillet. And then she takes a couple pieces of cheese, and she drops a slice of cheese over the McDonald's French fries and a slice of cheese over the egg that's frying. And then she takes the salt shaker, okay, and she starts dousing the cheeseburger from McDonald's and the French fries from McDonald's in more salt while it's frying in a skillet full of cooking oil. And I couldn't get enough of watching that woman cook. I mean, who's that woman down in South Alabama that some of y'all watch cook? That fancy woman? Brenda Gant. Well, I guess this woman is my Brenda Gant. But if I'm lying, I'm dying. You've done the same thing on some stupid video that you've seen on the internet, and you just had to keep on watching it. Hey, time is like water. Water always flows downhill, doesn't it? If you're not careful, our time is always going to flow towards gluttony, towards laziness, towards ease, because our society is not conducive towards purposeful and productive Christian living. Instead, what our society wants us to do is just veg out and watch some redneck woman in a trailer park cook for her man after his 12-hour shift. Well, there's a second reason. Now again, I didn't say that watching those videos was actively wrong or evil. I simply said that before you know it, you will have spent hours, if not days, on mindless media and entertainment, and you'll have nothing to show for it. That's all I'm saying. See, I'm telling you, the problem with people worry about TV. Well, if they watch too much TV, they'll go out there and start blowing. I don't think. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think the major problem with TV is as much the behavior that it causes as it is the behavior that it keeps you from doing. I mean, right. I mean, you could be doing something better, but you're not. You're going to watch it until your eyes are as big as coconuts and your mind is as little as a pea, right? So number two, make good use of time because the days are evil. Make good use of time because time is preparation for eternity. Like, make good use of your time because time is preparation for eternity. Now, what I mean by that is I believe there is. I believe there is a specific date on God's calendar in which all of our preparations for eternity will be over with. And at that point, we'll stand face to face before God. It's Romans chapter 14, verse 12. It says, so then every one of us will give an account of ourselves before God. It's Matthew 12:36, which says, of every idle word which man may speak, he will give an account before God. And so this world is like the dress rehearsal. This world is preparation for eternity. And once your number is called up on that set calendar, you will stand before God, and the time to get ready is over with. All the preparations that you will ever have made will be over with, and you'll be hey, you have all of eternity to celebrate your spiritual victories. You have forever and forever and forever and forever to celebrate your spiritual victories, but you only have one short life in which to achieve those victories. Then it's over with. So make good use of time, because your time is preparing you for eternity, because the days are evil. Here's a third reason why we ought to make good use of time. Because time is short. Have any of y'all ever stopped off on the side of the road and picked up a handful of gold? 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 Okay. Why not? Because it's scarce. Right? Now there's pebbles, there's rocks, there's gravel, right? They're in abundance. But I mean, gravel, every time I drive down the road, Aaron's windshield gets cracked with gravel, okay? Because gravel is in abundance. But gravel's not worth much. It's worth, if you go to buy a truckload, I'm sure it's worth something. But gravel's not worth much because there's so much of it out there. But I tell you what is worth something is gold and diamonds. And the reason why gold and diamonds are worth so much is because there's not much of it out there. The more scarce something is, the more valuable that thing is. And quite frankly, there's just not much time out there. None of us have much time. And because our time is scarce and because time is short, if we had an unending supply of time, if we were going to live forever and never die, if we had an unending supply of time, then time would not mean much to us. But because time is short and scarce, that's why time is so important and valuable. That's what Psalm chapter 90 is trying to tell us right here. Trying to tell us right here, it's like a flower that withers. It's like a blade of grass that withers. It's like a dream that quickly passes. It says in James chapter 4 and verse 14, it's like a vapor that evaporates. Remember that? Job chapter 14 verse 1 says, man who is born of woman is a few days and full of trouble. Man's life is short, in other words. And so because time is short, we got to make the most of it. I want to say something else about time. Not only is it short, not only is it preparation for eternity, not only are the days evil, but number 4, time is fleeting. Time is fleeting. What does that mean? Well, think about the way we describe time. I'm going to save time. I'm going to make up time. You can't make up time. You can't save time. The only thing time does is slip away. And I don't know, I'm middle-aged now, 43. So y'all can speak, some of y'all can speak with more authenticity to this than I can. But the older you get, the faster it goes. Mickey told me Sunday morning, he said it's January 1, 2024, and then it's January 1, 2025, and it's just about as fast as that. Because time is fleeting. And see, the older you get, the faster it feels like time goes. Do you remember the guy who, it was a funeral home up on Sand Mountain, and at the bottom of the hill, Randall, there was a drugstore. and they were taking this guy up to bury him in a cemetery at the top of the hill on top of Sand Mountain up there in northeast Alabama. And when the hearse pulled into the cemetery, the back door of that hearse got jostled, and the door popped open, and the casket came flying out of the back of that hearse, and it coasted down that hill, and it went right into the front doors of that pharmacy, and it banged up against the pharmacy counter. Boom! And the lid of that casket popped open, and the corpse sprung up and said to the druggist, "I'm sorry, but do you have anything that can stop this coffin?" Well, he didn't have anything, did he? He didn't have anything that could stop the coffin. But life is fleeting. Life is fleeting. Now, you may have heard this before, but to me it resonates and it communicates. Okay, and I know people are living longer and longer now than ever. But somebody said the average lifespan, as Psalm 90 says, the average lifespan is 70 years or maybe even 80. By the way, as of this year, the average American lifespan is 78 years of age. Okay, it is the longest that it's been since before COVID, okay? So the lifespan is now going back up where it had been going down, okay? But basically, that confirms this. The average American lifespan is 78 years. Psalm 90, verse number 10 says that the length of our years is 70, or if we have strength, it's 80. So somebody says, take 80 years, compress it into a 16-hour day, and look at the clock with me, okay? Compare life to one 16-hour day. So you're born at 6 a.m., the time a lot of people wake up, and you die at 10 p.m., the time when a lot of people go to sleep. So 6 a.m. to 10 p.m., the average person's day from wake up to bedtime, 6 a.m. to 10 p.m. in one day. You're born at 6 a.m. And then you're around 10 years old, it's 8 a.m. And that's awesome because the day's just getting started, right? Right, like that's when you start school at 8 a.m. in the morning, and so you have the whole day ahead of you. And of course you do, you're 10 years old. The whole day is ahead of you. And you're around 20. And now you're in college, or you're a high school graduate, you've joined the workforce, you might be getting married, you're around 20 years old, and it's 10 a.m. in the morning. And the day is still young, and life is still young, but you're 20, and it's already 10 a.m., it's halfway to lunchtime. Okay? And then you're like 30. You're 30 years old, and that's mighty, mighty young. You're 30 years old. You're still a young adult, but it's actually noon. It is noon, okay? The workday is half over, and you're 30 years old. Then you're like 40. You're around my age. You're in your 40s. It is 2 p.m. in the afternoon, okay? Like you're already, you're drowsy at this point. You're thinking about cutting out early from work or whatever, but you're about 40 years old, and it's you're 50 years old, it is 4 in the afternoon. Most people get off work or are fixing to get off work around 4 in the afternoon, and you're only 50 years old, and the workday's practically over with. You understand what I'm saying? Like, you think at 50, you think you're still 20. But in fact, on the clock of life, if you're around 50, the workday is practically done for you. Then you're around 60 years old. It is 6 p.m. at night. That's when we sit down to eat our final meal of the day. And so you're 60, but you're already eating your last meal of the day, and it's already dark outside. Then you're like 70, and it's 8 o'clock at night. 8 o'clock at night. And you're kicked back in your recliner. And you're trying to stay awake, but and then I'm simply trying to say to you guys, like I promise you, if you compare your life to the time of day, it's later than you think that it is. Like your life is more behind you than you think that it is. And that's just because time is fleeting. Time goes by faster than you think it will. And time is short. The time that we have is short. And time is the only preparation that we have for eternity. And the days are evil because the world we live in is not conducive to helping us use our days productively. In fact, the world we live in keeps us oftentimes from using our days purposely. And I want to say one more thing. The remaining time is uncertain. Right? Proverbs 27, verse number 1. Proverbs 27, verse 1 says, do not boast about tomorrow because you don't know what a day will bring forth. Here's the worst thing, you see, is that y'all already know that life is short. And y'all already know that life is fleeting. But what we don't know yet is just how short and just how fleeting life may actually be for us. There's an uncertainty about that. I don't know why this came to me the other day, but I remember this. I was in high school, and there was a guy whose wife taught with my mom in school, and he ran a pharmacy in Danville, Kentucky. And I asked Dad about it. I said, what was his name? He said, Mr. Horn. His name was Mr. Horn. He ran a pharmacy in Danville, Kentucky. His wife taught school with my mom. They didn't remember his last. They remember how he died, but didn't remember exactly his last words. But this was actually what happened to Mr. Horn. He's like in his 50s. Mom's still teaching school, still running the pharmacy. He did that treadmill run every day. His wife, she wasn't much for it. He had literally just gotten off the treadmill. Turned to her and said, you know, exercising makes me feel so much better. You know, I think you'd feel a lot better if you started running on this treadmill. That was it. He was gone. Why? I'm not preaching against exercise, not at all. I do plenty of it. What I am preaching about is the uncertainty of life. The uncertainty of life, because it's short and because it's fleeting, and it's the only time we have to get ready for eternity. And we don't live in a world that encourages us to get ready for eternity, because the world we live in encourages us just to check out and just passively consume entertainment. So, time is precious, and we need to redeem the time that we have, because it's pretty much the most precious commodity that we have, isn't it? And what would you want more? $1 million? Or 10 more years to live? I want 10 more years. Aaron wants the life insurance policy, but I want 10 more years. Well, let's spend some time praying today. When we dismiss here, we're going to have an equipment and space meeting down here in the front, guys. And so we dismiss in just a minute. We're going to have an equipment and space meeting. So again, time's important. And if you're going to be a good Christian, try to keep an eternal perspective with the short life that God has given to you. And don't just allow your time to be wasted with nothing but ease and laziness and gluttony. Use your time to honor God. All right, so prayer sheet.